Sustainability. Everybody is talking about it, but which companies are measuring the impact, collecting the right sustainability data, and taking the right information-based actions to reduce their carbon footprint and share this data as well? Toby Sykes, he's the Vice President Data and Platform at Altruistiq, and he will share the latest development in sustainability impact management. Welcome, Toby.
Hello.
So, you talk to many innovative executives. They have sustainability most of the time high on their agenda. How do they measure the impact, and why is it so important to measure this impact of sustainability?
Yes, of course. So we're now seeing organizations realize that getting better data for more accurate measurement, auditability, and decision making is absolutely critical in their decarbonisation journey. So if we start with more accurate measurement, taking carbon emissions as an example, for most organizations, 90% of their emissions are in scope 3, so their purchased goods, their supply chain. And these are typically calculated at a spend level. I bought 1,000 kilos of apples for £2,000, and based on that spend, assume it's X kilograms of CO2 equivalent. But apples are grown in different geographies with different farming methods, different logistics, different packaging, etc. The spend level doesn't account for this. So it's hard to make procurement-based decisions beyond I'm just going to spend less on apples to reduce my apple supplier emissions. And so many companies now realize that moving to more granular activity level data, for example, volumes of apples and where they've been sourced, unlocks better emissions factors for greater accuracy and more actionable data. And if we touch on auditability, are we confident in the data we're using to make critical decarbonisation decisions? Data lineage is imperative for providing full transparency on calculations, what emissions factors have been used, and any assumptions or proxies that may have been made. This transparency builds trust between companies and suppliers, companies and auditors, and companies and their customers, and reduces any potential ambiguity or greenwashing claims. I'd finally like to mention that within the sustainability space, there is significant data fragmentation and multiple data sharing standards and reporting requirements. Some important organizations, for instance, CDP, the GHG protocol itself, science-based target initiatives, are expanding their existing initiatives to attempt to get to fewer standards and reduce the data burden on organizations. And if I finish with the Apple analogy, this will enable better comparison of apples with apples and leveraging that data for more consistent and better insights.
Yeah, nice comparison, and this accuracy and the data lineage are very important. If you now look to all different kinds of businesses, you talk to these business leaders who we can take as a role example. Can you share some companies and cases that measure, manage, and reduce their carbon footprint based upon the way you described?
Yes, and we're seeing many organizations build this kind of better and more granular carbon emissions data capture in more purposefully into their digital or data transformations, and are working with platforms, such as ours to bring this to life. So if we look at one of our customers, Gusto, a cook-at-home food product company here in the UK, they've gone through a process to build a highly granular carbon footprint at a product to menu SKU level. Consequently, they now have kind of what we call procurement grade emissions data, i.e. this data is driving merchandising decisions. On a regular frequency, they can provide a view to their customers on what recipes are more or less emitting. This helps them promote specific menus based on sustainability. For example, minced beef has more than 5 times emissions footprint intensity than a chicken breast. This gives their customers the choice, and this transparency can ultimately provide a competitive advantage. And in the future, it can feed into their product composition and recipe design and further supplier conversations. Let's take another use case, another customer of ours, Meadow Foods. Meadow are a B2B food supplier to many leading brands. They too have gone through a more granular measurement process to get to product level emissions data. This is helping them drive commercial opportunities with their customers. They can report out accurate emissions for each of their products, providing transparency and strengthening existing and new B2B customer relationships. Because there is granular, accurate data, this can facilitate more measurable carbonisation opportunities, both internally and between them and their customers. Both of these examples demonstrate how building granularity, accuracy, and transparency will provide the potential to understand how best to decarbonize their own processes and improve their relationships with their consumers and customers. And they can hopefully build a better business case for ROI and internal investment for sustainability, expertise, and capabilities. And this is going to be critical for the long journey to decarbonize in industry.
Yeah, so if we take these two cases, on one hand, data sharing was an important part, as you mentioned, for the success in getting insights and taking actions. And can you explain what's the role of cloud plays in the success from these two cases?
Yeah, so I mean, firstly, as a SaaS startup, using the cloud has been essential. We're able to spin up new services, innovate, and get big data processing architectures quickly. And working with these organizations, that means we can start to process very granular data very quickly and be able to pivot and adapt to their requirements. We chose Amazon Web Services as our cloud provider, as I've worked with them in the past and always had a good experience. Additionally, they have a broad range of mature technical services that have been relevant to our architectural requirements. In addition to their technical capabilities, the support that's provided is huge, and it's the same with any cloud provider. You have access to God knows how many years of their experience partnering and building with SaaS solutions, accelerating, getting to best practice architectures, specifically around things like security and scalability, which are critical for us partnering with customers like Gusto and Meadow, who want to trust us and how we're using the data and make sure that we have the right security in place to protect their own assets. And finally, it's important that we practice what we preach too, in terms of our own internal management and sustainability practices. Clearly, there are potential benefits deploying into an existing data center rather than trying to set up our own. There's also flexibility around where we can deploy and what data centers we choose to use. We have chosen Ireland for ours based on their use of renewable energy and lower carbon footprint. And many of the cloud providers are also launching their own internal customer carbon footprint tools, AWS included. And that means that we can track our own emissions when it comes to our own technology and platform build and usage. And over time, this will help us be smarter around how we're deploying compute and storage resources and support us on our own decarbonization journey.
Yeah, I like it. Practice what you preach, indeed. Great analogies on one hand, great insights of cases to improve the sustainability in your business. Thank you, Toby. Great insights. And for the audience, thank you for watching. And we're looking forward to seeing you next time.